Life has a quiet way of exposing a contradiction most people never stop to examine. The harder you try to control everything, outcomes, timing, other people's reactions, the more tense, exhausted, and frustrated you become. You plan, you push, you overthink. And yet, the more force you apply, the less cooperative life seems to be. This creates a dangerous illusion that if you just push harder, grip tighter, and stay hypervigilant, things will finally fall into place. But what if that belief itself is the problem? What if the very effort you believe is saving you is what's keeping you stuck? Most people live in a constant state of internal resistance. They resist uncertainty. They resist delay. They resist outcomes they didn't choose. And this resistance quietly drains their energy, clarity, and confidence. The Stoics identified this pattern over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius warned that suffering does not come from events themselves, but from our refusal to accept reality as it is. Not acceptance as passivity, acceptance as clarity. Because the moment you stop fighting what cannot be controlled, something unexpected happens. Your mind relaxes. Your actions sharpen. Your confidence becomes calm instead of desperate. This is not about giving up. It is about relocating power. The Stoics understood something most modern self-improvement advice gets wrong. Control is not power. Self-mastery is. The more you try to dominate life, the more life dominates you. But when you master your inner world, your judgments, your expectations, your reactions, life begins to feel strangely cooperative. Not because it changed, but because you did. If you feel constantly stressed, anxious about the future, or frustrated that things never seem to move fast enough, there is a reason. You may be investing energy where you have no authority. Epictetus began his teaching with a brutal but liberating distinction. Some things are up to us. Some things are not. Everything else follows from this. Most anxiety is caused by confusing the two. You try to control outcomes. You try to manage how others feel. You try to predict the future. And when reality refuses to obey, you interpret that as failure. The Stoic sees it differently. Your responsibility ends at effort, at intention, at discipline. Outcomes belong to nature, chance, and forces beyond your command. This realization is not discouraging. It is freeing. Because once you stop attaching your peace to results, your actions become cleaner, more focused, more effective. The Stoics never taught inaction. They taught non-attachment. There is a crucial difference. You act fully. You prepare carefully. You commit honestly. And then you release the outcome. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most pain is anticipatory. What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? What if I'm wasting time? These thoughts feel urgent, but they are rarely useful. They pull you out of the present moment, the only place where real power exists. Think about an athlete who performs best. It is never the one obsessing over the scoreboard mid-game. It is the one fully absorbed in execution. The Stoics understood flow long before modern psychology named it. When attention leaves results and returns to process, performance improves, confidence stabilizes, action becomes precise. This applies to everything: career, relationships, personal growth. When you need something to happen a certain way to feel okay, you become tense. People sense it. Opportunities close. But when you operate from internal sufficiency, trusting that you can handle whatever unfolds, your presence changes. You become calmer, more attractive, more persuasive. Not because you're trying, because you're no longer desperate. Detachment is misunderstood. People hear "let go" and think "stop caring." The Stoics meant the opposite. Care deeply about what is yours to govern. Release what is not.
Epictetus put it simply: if you want to be free, stop trying to control what doesn't belong to you. Freedom for the Stoics was psychological: freedom from anxiety, freedom from compulsive effort, freedom from needing life to validate your worth. This is the first major shift. You stop asking, "How do I force this to happen?" and start asking, "What is the highest quality action available to me right now?" That question restores dignity, because even when outcomes are uncertain, excellence of effort is always available. This is where manifestation myths collapse, and something more powerful replaces them. You don't attract what you desperately want. You attract what you are prepared to handle. Preparation is internal: clarity, discipline, patience. Marcus Aurelius wrote daily reminders to himself not to demand that events conform to his preferences, but to conform his mind to reason. This is not spiritual bypassing. It is psychological maturity. When you stop arguing with reality, your energy returns, and that energy can finally be directed toward meaningful action instead of internal struggle. In the next part, we will go deeper into mindset, into how the Stoics trained the mind to remain calm under pressure, resilient under failure, and confident without arrogance, and why mastering thought, not circumstances, is the real leverage point in life. Most people believe tension is a sign of seriousness. If they relax, they fear they will lose momentum. If they let go, they fear they will fall behind. If they stop worrying, they fear life will punish them for negligence. The Stoics understood this fear intimately, and they rejected it completely. They saw tension not as commitment, but as mistrust. Mistrust in oneself, mistrust in reason, mistrust in the natural unfolding of events.
Tension arises when the mind insists that reality must obey its preferences. Relaxation in Stoic philosophy is not indifference. It is alignment.
Alignment between effort and acceptance, between action and release. Seneca wrote that calmness of mind is not the absence of difficulty, but the absence of inner resistance. Resistance is costly. It consumes attention. It narrows perception. It turns minor obstacles into emotional emergencies. The Stoic trains himself to remove resistance at its source, not by numbing emotion, but by correcting judgment. Judgment creates pressure. Pressure creates urgency. Urgency creates error. When the mind feels rushed, it sacrifices clarity for speed. The Stoics preferred clarity. Clarity produces effectiveness without strain. This is why Stoic calm is not passive. It is strategic. When you are calm, you see options others miss. When you are calm, your speech slows. Your presence steadies. Your decisions improve. Calmness is a competitive advantage, but it is rarely taught this way. Modern culture glorifies hustle and anxiety. It equates stress with importance. The Stoics considered this confusion dangerous. Importance does not require agitation. What matters most deserves composure. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that nothing external has the power to disturb the mind unless the mind allows it. This is not denial. It is responsibility. You are responsible for the meaning you assign to events. When something does not go as planned, the untrained mind reacts immediately. Why is this happening to me? This shouldn't be happening. This ruins everything. The Stoic intervenes at the level of interpretation. This is happening. It does not define me. I will respond deliberately. This intervention creates space. Space between event and emotion. In that space lies freedom. Relaxation is simply the refusal to fill that space with unnecessary conclusions. Most stress is not caused by what is happening. It is caused by what we assume is about to happen. The Stoics called this living in anticipation rather than reality. Seneca warned that anxiety about the future steals the present without improving the future. You pay twice, once in imagination, once in reality. Relaxing the mind breaks this cycle. You return attention to what is actually required now, not 10 steps ahead, now. This return produces immediate relief, not because problems disappear, but because overwhelm dissolves. Overwhelm is a symptom of divided attention. The Stoics insisted on unity of focus. One task, one judgment, one action. This discipline transforms effort. Effort without tension becomes sustainable. Sustainable effort compounds. Compounding is invisible at first, but decisive over time. This is why Stoicism does not promise quick results. It promises durability. Durability outperforms intensity. Intensity burns out. Durability builds life. Relaxation also changes how desire operates. Most desire is anxious. It wants reassurance. It wants guarantees. It wants immediate confirmation. The Stoics trained desire to be conditional, not on outcome, on integrity. Epictetus taught that desire should attach only to what is within your control. When desire chases externals, peace becomes hostage to chance. When desire attaches to effort, peace stabilizes. This is the Stoic redefinition of success. Success is not getting what you want. It is wanting what aligns with reason. This does not eliminate ambition. It disciplines it. Ambition without discipline becomes agitation. Ambition with discipline becomes direction. Relaxation allows ambition to breathe. It removes desperation. Desperation is sensed by others. It repels cooperation. Calm confidence attracts it, not through manipulation, through trust. People trust those who are not internally frantic, those who can pause, those who do not react impulsively. This trust opens doors that force never will. The Stoics understood social dynamics well. They knew that power does not announce itself, it settles. When you stop forcing outcomes, you stop telegraphing need. Your interactions become cleaner. You listen better. You speak less. And when you speak, your words carry weight. This is not mysticism. It is psychology. The nervous system communicates before language does. A relaxed nervous system signals safety. Safety invites openness. Openness creates opportunity. Relaxation, then, is not retreat. It is readiness. Readiness to respond rather than react. Readiness to adjust rather than resist. This readiness also transforms how failure is experienced. When you are relaxed, failure does not feel catastrophic. It feels informative. What worked? What didn't? What can be refined? The Stoics approached life as continuous training, not a test you pass or fail, but a practice you refine. Relaxation allows learning. Tension blocks it. A tense mind defends its identity. A relaxed mind updates its understanding. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. A tense mind darkens. A calm mind clarifies. This clarity extends to time. When the mind is tense, time feels scarce. You rush, you skip steps, you make avoidable mistakes. When the mind relaxes, time expands, not objectively, psychologically. You regain patience. Patience improves accuracy.
Accuracy improves outcomes. This chain is invisible to those addicted to urgency. The Stoics were not impressed by speed. They valued precision. Relaxation also reframes control. Control, properly understood, is narrow. You control your judgments, your intentions, your actions, nothing else. This narrow focus is liberating. You stop exhausting yourself managing illusions of control. You invest energy where it produces return. This is why Stoic calm often appears powerful, because it is efficient. Energy conserved internally becomes available externally, in leadership, in creativity, in problem solving. Relaxation also protects against burnout. Burnout is not caused by work. It is caused by resistance to work, by fighting reality while performing tasks.
When you accept the task fully, resistance fades. Effort remains. Suffering diminishes. This is why two people can do the same job, and one collapses while the other endures. The difference is not workload. It is relationship to control. The Stoics chose acceptance, not resignation, acceptance with responsibility. They acted fully and then released. This rhythm creates a sustainable life. In the next part, we will confront the hardest test of this philosophy: pressure, ambition, time, mortality, and why the ability to relax internally becomes most powerful when circumstances become unforgiving. Pressure reveals the difference between genuine calm and temporary comfort. Anyone can feel relaxed when life cooperates. Few remain composed when effort is high and results are uncertain. This is where Stoic relaxation proves its value, not as softness, as structure. The Stoics did not train calmness for ease. They trained it for endurance. Endurance under ambition. Endurance under responsibility. Endurance under time. Ambition is often misunderstood. Many believe ambition requires tension, constant urgency, constant dissatisfaction, constant striving. The Stoics rejected this entirely. They saw ambition as dangerous when it is fueled by ego rather than purpose. Ego-driven ambition demands outcomes. It demands recognition. It demands proof. Purpose-driven ambition demands alignment. It asks only one question: am I acting in accordance with reason? Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while reminding himself daily not to be intoxicated by power or crushed by difficulty. His ambition was not to conquer more territory, it was to govern himself. This distinction matters because ambition without self-governance becomes anxiety, and anxiety destroys judgment. Stoic relaxation protects judgment under pressure. When you relax internally, ambition becomes focused rather than frantic. You work steadily. You stop rushing decisions. You stop attaching your identity to milestones. This does not slow progress. It accelerates it, because fewer mistakes are made. Pressure also exposes how people relate to time. Most people experience time as an enemy. There is never enough. They are always behind, always catching up. Seneca called this one of life's greatest illusions. Time is not short. Life is short when it is wasted on anxiety, distraction, and resistance. The Stoic does not fight time. He organizes himself within it. Relaxation allows this organization. When the mind is tense, time fragments, attention jumps, focus dissolves. When the mind relaxes, time consolidates. 1 hour of calm focus outperforms 10 hours of frantic effort. This is not motivational language. It is observable reality. Relaxation creates depth. Depth produces quality. Quality compounds. This is why Stoicism places such emphasis on daily discipline, not extreme routines, consistent ones. The Stoics believed that how you live an ordinary day is how you live your life. Relaxation allows discipline to be sustainable. Tension turns discipline into punishment. Punishment invites rebellion. Relaxed discipline invites loyalty to oneself. This loyalty is critical when failure arrives. Failure is inevitable, not as possibility, as certainty. The Stoics never promised success. They promised preparedness. Preparedness changes the meaning of failure. Failure no longer feels like betrayal by life. It feels like confirmation that you are engaged. Epictetus taught that if you want progress, you must accept temporary embarrassment. The refusal to appear foolish is the refusal to grow. Relaxation makes embarrassment survivable. A tense ego cannot tolerate failure. A relaxed mind studies it. What went wrong? What was assumed incorrectly? What can be refined? This attitude transforms loss into leverage. Leverage is power, not force, precision. Relaxation also protects against bitterness. Bitterness is the accumulation of resisted reality. When people say life has made them cynical, what they mean is that life did not behave according to their expectations. The Stoics removed this trap. They expected difficulty. They expected delay. They expected impermanence. Expectation aligned with reality produces calm. Expectation divorced from reality produces suffering. Relaxation is simply expectation corrected. This correction is especially important when success arrives. Success is as dangerous as failure. It inflates ego. It invites complacency. It distorts judgment. Marcus Aurelius warned himself repeatedly not to be seduced by praise. Praise, he wrote, is merely the opinion of people who are as fallible as you.
Relaxation prevents intoxication. It keeps the mind grounded. You receive success without dependency. You lose success without collapse. This emotional symmetry is rare, and it is powerful. Pressure also brings mortality into focus. Most people avoid thinking about death until it forces itself into awareness. The Stoics kept it close, not as fear, as clarity. Memento mori was not morbid, it was practical. If life is finite, unnecessary tension is absurd. Why exhaust yourself trying to control what will never obey? Why delay meaningful action out of fear of imperfection? Relaxation in the face of mortality is not denial. It is acceptance paired with urgency. Urgency without panic. Seriousness without heaviness. Marcus Aurelius wrote that one should live as if already dead, not to despair, but to strip away trivial fear. When you accept that time is limited, you stop wasting energy on anxiety. You act. You speak honestly. You prioritize. Relaxation becomes courage. This is the Stoic paradox. The calmer you are internally, the bolder you become externally. Not reckless, decisive, because fear has less leverage. This calm decisiveness changes relationships. You stop trying to manage how others perceive you. You stop performing. You show up grounded. People trust this. Trust creates cooperation. Cooperation multiplies effort. This is how relaxed authority operates, not through force, through stability. Relaxation also dissolves envy. Envy thrives in tension, in comparison, in scarcity thinking. The Stoic sees abundance differently. Abundance is not having more, it is needing less. When you need less, pressure fades. When pressure fades, clarity rises. Clarity improves outcomes. This is not mystical attraction, it is cause and effect. Relaxation also restores joy, not excitement, quiet satisfaction, the satisfaction of acting well, regardless of outcome. Seneca wrote that a tranquil mind enjoys the present without anxiety about the future. This enjoyment is not indulgence, it is gratitude. Gratitude grounded in realism. The Stoics were not naive optimists. They were disciplined realists. They knew life would be difficult. They chose to meet it without internal chaos. That choice is always available, even now. Relaxation is not something you wait for. It is something you practice, moment by moment, judgment by judgment. In the final part, we will integrate everything: relaxation, action, discipline, meaning, and we will close with an intelligent psychological invitation, not pressure, for the viewer to engage, reflect, and share this work with someone capable of real conversation. At some point, philosophy must leave the page and enter the body. It must move from thought to posture, from idea to behavior, from inspiration to habit. The Stoics never intended their work to remain abstract. It was meant to be lived daily, quietly, without applause. Relaxation, in this sense, is not a mood. It is a trained condition, a way of standing inside your own life. You can recognize someone who has cultivated it. They are not rushed. They are not defensive. They do not oversell themselves. They do not collapse under pressure. They are difficult to provoke, and even more difficult to manipulate. This is not personality. It is discipline.
The Stoic begins each day not by demanding comfort, but by preparing for friction. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the day would bring interference, ingratitude, arrogance, dishonesty, and selfishness, not as pessimism, as calibration. When reality meets expectation, tension dissolves. Relaxation becomes possible not because life is gentle, but because the mind is prepared. Preparedness is the foundation of calm. Without it, relaxation becomes denial. With it, relaxation becomes power. This is how Stoicism avoids naivete. You do not relax because you expect things to go well. You relax because you are ready to respond well. This shift changes everything. It changes how you wake up. Instead of anxiety, there is orientation. What is required today? What is within my control? What is not? These questions clear mental noise. They narrow focus. They protect energy. Energy protection is essential. Most people leak energy through resentment, rumination, and unnecessary worry. The Stoic seals these leaks, not by suppressing emotion, by questioning its source. Is this emotion caused by something I can change? If yes, act. If not, release. This binary decision structure creates calm efficiency. No spirals, no drama, just clarity. Over time, this clarity accumulates. It changes self-image. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and stop trying to be a hero. You become a steward of your attention, of your actions, of your values. Relaxation strengthens values. When the mind is tense, values are compromised for relief. You say what others want to hear. You choose shortcuts. You abandon principles under pressure. A relaxed mind does not bargain with integrity because it is not desperate. This is where real confidence comes from, not bravado, consistency. When your actions align with your values, self-respect stabilizes. And when self-respect stabilizes, external validation loses its grip. You still appreciate success. You still pursue excellence. But you are no longer dependent on applause to feel whole. This independence is rare and visible. It affects how people respond to you. You become more persuasive without trying, more trustworthy without explanation. because your nervous system is settled and others feel it. Relaxation also transforms solitude. Many fear being alone with their thoughts because their thoughts are undisciplined. The Stoic trains the inner dialogue. He speaks to himself deliberately, kindly, firmly. Marcus Aurelius's meditations were not written for an audience. They were written to correct his own thinking. This is crucial. Relaxation requires self-leadership. If you do not guide your mind, it will drag you. Practice this daily. When irritation arises, pause. Ask what judgment is being made. Challenge it. Replace it with something more accurate. This is not positive thinking. It is precise thinking. Precision removes excess emotion and leaves strength. Over time, this practice reshapes temperament. You become harder to unsettle, not cold, centered. This centering improves relationships. You listen without preparing responses. You disagree without hostility. You walk away without resentment. You do not chase closure. You do not demand understanding. You do your part and release the rest. This maturity is attractive, not because it seeks attention, but because it does not need it. Relaxation also clarifies ambition one final time. You stop asking how fast you can get there and start asking whether the direction is correct. Speed in the wrong direction is waste. The Stoics were obsessed with direction, with living in accordance with nature. Nature to them meant reason, not instinct, not impulse, reason. When your life is aligned with reason, relaxation follows naturally, because you are no longer at war with yourself. This alignment creates meaning, not as narrative, as experience. You feel useful. You feel grounded. You feel sufficient. Not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer demanding that it be. This is the deepest manifestation of Stoic calm, not attracting things, but no longer being internally dependent on them. And paradoxically, this is when life begins to respond more favorably, not magically, practically, because relaxed people make better decisions. They build better relationships. They recover faster from setbacks. They persist longer. They waste less energy. These advantages compound quietly until one day it appears from the outside that things just work for them. But inside, it feels different. It feels earned. This philosophy does not promise ease. It offers dignity. Dignity in effort. Dignity in loss. Dignity in uncertainty. And dignity in calm. If you have stayed with this reflection to the end, it suggests something about you. You are not looking for shortcuts. You are looking for coherence, for ideas that hold under pressure, for principles that do not collapse when circumstances change. That kind of thinking deserves conversation, not consumption. If this perspective has sharpened something in you, even slightly, consider staying connected, not out of obligation,
but out of shared seriousness. A thoughtful subscription supports work that values depth over noise. A quiet gesture of appreciation helps this message reach others who might be ready for it. And if someone comes to mind, someone capable of real dialogue, sharing this reflection could be the beginning of an important exchange, not agreement, understanding. If you choose to leave a comment, let it be considered, not praise, not reaction, but a thought you would be willing to stand behind. That kind of response honors the philosophy and the time spent creating it. Calm is not the absence of ambition. It is the presence of mastery, and mastery begins within.